Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode Throne of Seal based on novel. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start. After 3 days passed, Jian Yang and Han Daoxi gave up on trying to understand ripples of light, and although Li Xin and Wang Yuanyuan didn't succeed yet, they shared an incredible determination, painstakingly practicing every day. Seeking the enormous utility the offensive ability ripples of light could bring them, and seeing the concessions Long Haochen did to share it, they had already made the firm resolution not to give up no matter what. Of course, determination wasn't enough to complement for a difference in the power of understanding, so it was hard to say whether they would manage to learn it or not. But as long as they tried, they also had a chance to succeed. Long Haochen nodded in response. That's right, we cannot stay in this place for too long. But my big sister and Yuanyuan are still trying to understand the ripples of light. If we interrupt them now, I'm afraid they won't have future opportunities to comprehend it. Now, if we want to return to the Alliance the fastest possible, our best solution is to use the same method as on our way here. We will use the Moon Clan's route. Luke 11 started. Are you saying that we should look for that president of the Yue Chamber of Commerce? Long Haochen looked up. Since she is controlled by Kia, she cannot resort to any tricks. With her protection, we should be able to spare strength during our return to the Alliance. Luke 11 remarked, but this is still dangerous. What if that Yue recklessly tries to expose us? Wouldn't it? Long Haochen replied, I've already thought of this bit. Although the possibility is low, we cannot put it aside. I plan to head to the Moon Clan's headquarters alone. Yue has already told me its location. It's the Moon Palace, located in the Demon God Palace's side of the central province. I will be looking for her by myself, and if everything goes well, I will bring her here. This will be the safest way. And with the blood connection between Hao Yue and myself, even if I run into some danger, I'll have no problem to escape. Luke 11 gave Long Haochen a glance, and revealed a bitter smile. Compared to you, Captain, I'm simply a useless person. Long Haochen patted his shoulder. Captain Luke, don't say that. If not for your presence, we wouldn't have made it so far. We are members of a same team, and managed to reap an important amount of contribution points. As a team, your healing is what everyone needs the most. Let's leave it at that. I will set out tonight. I leave this side to you. Kia has lost 4 of her senses, and cannot be teleported along with Hao Yue, so I will have to leave her here. If you meet with danger here, Hao Yue will immediately inform me and I'll return instantly. By the means of a simple exchange of words, the two captains decided on the future plans of the team. Long Haochen returned to Kia's side, lightly pulling her hand, and writing a few words that he had decided on beforehand. Kia was nestling against him, using her slim fingers to write in his palm the words, "Don't be too late to come back." Not obstructing him the least, and not insisting on staying by his side, Caia was the same as usual, always giving consideration to Long Haochen. Giving her a tender hug and feeling her softness, Long Haochen's expression finally loosened. He was determined that after coming back, he wouldn't accept another mission until Caia recovered her 4 senses, and choose to accompany her in Holy City during this difficult period. Lin Xin, come here. Long Haochen called Lin Xin, who was busy making pills nearby. Lin Xin had to carry the burden of making pills, so Long Haochen set up a special space to let him refine it in a calm environment that suited him. Hearing Long Haochen's call, Lin Xin hastily ran up to his side. Captain, these last few days have been all right for me. Although this adventure turned out to be filled with many untold dangers and difficulties, we gained even more good materials than before. It's just that this place is rather simple and crude, so I couldn't start researching new products yet. But at least, I will have made some of the same pills as before. Most of my energy is directed at making great recovery pills. I should be coming up with the first batch today. I estimate that there should be no problem to make 7 or 8 sets. Just as Long Haochen said it before, everyone was absolutely necessary in this team. The utility of Lin Xin's pills, often at crucial times, was something everyone experienced personally. Of course, spiritual bursting pills and bloodthirsty pills had a certain use, but what the team needed the most at this time was great recovery pills. After all, they had already used up a good amount of the former 2 kinds. By making some more great recovery pills, They could share some with the 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad. Of course, this would be in exchange for some contribution points. 100 contribution points per pill, this was the price Lin Xin concluded. In his own words, it was a rather low price. Lin Xin had his absolute nature of an unscrupulous businessman. In the end, he didn't collect the 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad's contribution points, guaranteeing 3 great recovery pills per person in exchange for all the material from the beast corpses the 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad had collected. This included the corpses of magical beasts they already had stored beforehand, the magical crystals they had. All the storage devices on Luke Shi's side were emptied of the magical beast corpses in it. It was a huge profit. But Lin Xin was the only one who knew how much profit this was. Long Haochen nodded, responding, I didn't call you to ask about the situation regarding the pills. This is a field we don't understand at all. Everything is left to you on this. Lin Xin was startled, asking with some hesitation, then what did you call me for, Captain? Long Haochen gave a glance to another nearby person, before lowering his voice. I want to ask you what happened between my sis and you. Something is wrong between you these days. Lin Xin jumped back, almost falling down, and on his face appeared a sort of boiling red trace. Was there really something? Long Haochen asked, no, nothing. Lin Xin hurried to defend himself. How could something happen between Miss Li Xin and myself? Nothing happened, really. Long Haochen unhappily replied, your show is really not up to much. Take a look at your face if you have a mirror, you're blushing even more than the most girly little girl among little girls. Go, I'll ask my sis later. If I learn that you tried to bully her, humph, you'll see. Lin Xin revealed a bitter face, Captain, oh almighty Captain, just let me off the hook this time. It's such a loss of face. I really don't want to say it. Boss, keep quiet, or else, how do you expect me to have any shame left? Lin Xin said awkwardly, his face turning flaming red. Long Haochen's expression became somewhat unsightly. Lin Xin, I don't care about your narcissism, but how can you be narcissistic enough to claim something like that? How could my sis force a kiss on you? Don't forget she's a girl, and you're slandering someone's purity right now. I. Lin Xin looked torn between laughter and tears. Boss, how could I try to fool you? If not for you, I wouldn't even be in this demon hunt squad. Let me explain everything to you. He really couldn't hide it anymore, and approached Long Haochen's ear, telling him about the misunderstanding that happened between Li Xin and himself, how she came to look for him, and told him about everything that happened between the two of them. Having heard his story, Long Haochen's became stone-faced. Looking at Li Xin, who was painstakingly focusing on training, he was simply speechless. What's this? Sis, you're too intrepid this time. For fear that Long Haochen wouldn't believe him, he imitated Li Xin's motion, turning his hand over to cover his head along with Long Haochen's ear. Boss, you see, when Miss Xin did this, she had a hand holding the back of my head. That, and don't forget she's a knight. I'm just a mage, even if I wanted to fight back. I couldn't do anything more than struggle. And then, looking at his grieved face, Long Haochen unhappily retorted back, you're the one taking advantage here. My sis is a girl you know, and it was her first kiss. How can you be unsatisfied after taking such great advantage? Lin Xin said in a low voice, Boss, I'm not unsatisfied or anything. It's just that I'm not taking advantage at all. That was also my first kiss, you know. Long Haochen gave him an unconvinced look. Could you possibly still have something such as a first kiss? What about the young lady that seemed ready to eat you at the auction house? One can pretty much call you a womanizer with certainty. How could it be your first kiss? I wouldn't be even surprised to hear that you've had 10,000 before. Lin Xin cried out in dissatisfaction, Boss, I'm telling the truth. I am at most a bit narcissistic, but I am pure to the core. Under grandfather's tight watch, if I really dared to tangle with a girl, he would definitely not let me off. And you know, I am just a few years older than you, and I'm not even 20 now. I'm not so precocious, you know. If I was doing dirty things to girls every day, how could I become such an outstanding alchemist? Long Haochen's expression turned into extreme surprise, and a long time later, he tried asking, what do you plan on doing? Treat it as though nothing happened. Lin Xin unhappily spoke back, this was my first kiss, my very first time. How can I treat it as though it didn't happen? Plus that it has been taken like that. Long Haochen nodded his head and responded. It's enough, go back to making your pills. There's nothing I can do about this. Think of something by yourself. There's just one thing I demand of you, you are not permitted to hurt my sis. Otherwise, I really won't let you off. Lin Shin lightly nodded, suddenly lowering his voice. Actually, I kind of prefer older girls. And Miss Shin is quite pretty. Boss, tell me, if I went after your big sister Shina, would I have a chance? Long Haochen showed an unhappy reaction. How could I teach you? Seeing that you don't have any first-hand experience, don't tell me you think I have. Lin Shin didn't have any hesitation to respond. Of course you have some, just how old is Kia? Since you got hold of her, how can you say you have no experience? Just get lost. Kicking Lin Shin that carried a malicious smile, Long Haochen turned towards Kia without paying any further attention to him. Along with the passage of time, Long Haochen understood Lin Shin's characters gradually more and more. Be it in terms of looks, natural disposition, ability or background, he was completely above Li Shin. If he was really sincere, this wouldn't be something bad. But everything would depend on fate, and he didn't plan on intervening in this. He believed that his own big sister's judgment would be enough for her to make her own decision. From the west, the night slowly engulfed the earth, and Long Haochen noiselessly left the ravine, heading down. The desolate hissing cavern in itself was located in the central province of the Demon Territory, and its location was marked long ago on his map. After passing from the side of the mountain range, he rushed to the central province. Along with the increase of his cultivation, Long Haochen's ability was boosted as a whole. Although he wasn't riding Hao Yue, when running at full strength, he was fast enough to match a speeding horse in the wilderness. The current him had already put on the demonic eyes of the Moon Clan, as well as the clothes given to him by Yu Yi, and made use of the darkness of the night to speed towards his destination, while staying low-key. The night sky was beautiful, bathed in resplendent starlight, with a half-moon spreading its hazy moonlight. This half-moon was partly hidden behind clouds, spreading a soft luster. Although Long Haochen left, Kia still remained in his heart. This time, he gave Hao Yue an order, that no matter what, he was not to take even half a step away from Kia. In case something happened, he would immediately recall Long Haochen to Kia's side. He would definitely not permit anyone to injure his Kia again. This quick trip didn't feel lonely for Long Haochen. Thinking about the whole process of the mission, he summed up the wins and the losses in his head. During the past days of rest, Long Haochen made use of the spiritual energy examination gem to check his internal spiritual energy, and it turned out that he was currently an Earth Knight of the 9th rank, reaching a spiritual energy of above 3,700. The Saint's spiritual stove was also distinctly only a single step away from evolving once again, plus he had the light elemental fairy Yating, as well as the pendant of eternal melody, which he didn't know the rank of. Long Haochen was certain that as long as he was given a steady environment, he would at most need 2 months to reach and break through the bottleneck of the Radiant Knight's rank. In fact, when taking everything into account, less than half a year had passed since he broke through to the 5th step. Even Long Haochen himself found his cultivating speed to be quite terrifying. And this was not his greatest harvest, that would be the Tower of Eternal Rest. Although he didn't know what this tower would bring him, he was sure that this fantastic Tower of Mysteries was formidable enough to compare with a divine artifact. He had to make it back alive no matter what. Long Haochen unconsciously clenched his fists. As long as he came back alive, he would be sure to possess the flight ability by the next time they would enter in the demon territory. Roughly 200 kilometers separated the desolate hissing cavern from his current location. Considering his current speed, at sunrise of that day, he would already have reached his destination. The central province and its vast plains englobed a tenth of the whole demon territory, making it the biggest of the 24 provinces. Though, it wasn't called a demon capital, but rather a core city, in the meaning of being the core for the demon gods. This Modu city used to be a huge imperial capital, before being seized and transformed by demons, who changed it to this shape over several thousand years. This Modu core city was enormous, to the extent that no city in the alliance was able to compare with it. Its size could be said to be 20 times that of the Exorcist city, following a square-shaped architecture. Within it, the Demon Emperor Palace was situated right at the center of Core City, acting as the central building of the city. The first-ranked demon god pillar belonging to the demon god Emperor Fengxiu, was located in this demon emperor palace. The demon emperor palace aside, 4 other palaces were situated at the 4 corners of the Modu core city, belonging to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th demon gods. Their demon god pillars located inside of their respective palaces, they were dwelling in these places, making the importance of this city to the demon race clearly visible. At the time this terrifying city appeared in Long Haochen's sight, the day had already begun, but because this enormous city was completely pitch black, he was unable to discern any traces of dawn's daylight. In the sky of this enormous city, black clouds could be seen, forming a completely different environment from the one outside of the city. Not a single ray of sunlight illuminated this city's insides. From afar, Long Haochen vaguely discerned a hazy black fog, seemingly spreading in the air unchallenged. Only by looking, he had the feeling of being stifled by this city. Apparently, the light elemental spiritual energy contained inside was being strongly suppressed, while the darkness elemental concentration was at least 3-folds more than the external world. Slowing down his pace, Long Haochen arranged his clothing, taking out the emblem given by Yu Yi in his hands. Rubbing his cheeks to loosen his facial expression, he advanced in the direction of Modu core city. After a whole night of traveling at his maximum pace on his way here, he needed some rest to alleviate the fatigue. Don't forget that, because this place was in the core of the demon territory, he could not summon the light elemental fairy Yating to help him, neither use the sunlight's assistance, which terribly slowed down his recovery speed. Long Haochen took half an hour to recover from his exertion after the city appeared to his view to reach it. The Modu core city was really wide. All the perimeter was 10 times larger than normal city walls, making their length unmatched in the history of Xingmo Dalu. Long Haochen chose to enter from the southern city gate, which was the one guarded by the Moon Demon clan. The 4 city gates were protected by the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th demon gods, and the south of the city was the Moon clan's territory. With his current appearance, Long Haochen looked like a nobleman from the Moon clan, looking tired from his trip. After showing his Viscount insignia, the guards immediately paid their respects, letting him enter in the city. Nonetheless, Long Haochen's back was drenched in sweat. This was because these demons from the Moon clans were only soldiers of lower rank, but seemed to have a strength at the 4th step, making them no inferior to grand fiends from the Fiend clan. This caused him to think secretly that if not for the fact that Princess Yue had some human blood, perhaps her strength would not be merely at the 5th step. Unhurriedly entering the Modu core city, Long Haochen found a rather remote corner of the city, assessing the central demon city. Modu core city's roads were extremely broad, enough for a carriage of the size as the one Yu Yi used back then to be used without feeling crowded. On the 2 sides of the city, stores stood in great numbers. Most of the buildings were tall, and they had mostly simple designs on them, making it way different from the characteristics of the glorious era's buildings. 6,000 years ago, as demons brought a catastrophe upon humans, they made a huge part of the human knowledge theirs. If one was to take a quick look, this city seemed to be pretty much the same as a human city, if not even more flourishing than any other human city. But upon taking a closer look, one can notice that this place was different as it is pitch black and filled with coldness. Some humans occasionally showed up on the street, but the vast majority of the people present were demons of various kinds. Of course, lower-ranked demons like dual-bladed demons of the Zelin clan were unseen, and most of them were a lot more powerful. Evidently, being able to enter the Modu core city was an honor to any demon. So this is the center of command of the demon race. Long Haochen pondered deeply, because he had already run across 4 powerhouses of the 6th step. And even one at the 7th step since he entered. And in the streets of Modu core city, they simply appeared like average commoners that didn't stand out at all. After observing for a short time, Long Haochen didn't stay in that place, but immediately headed for his current destination. With the map he possessed, it wasn't possible for him to get lost after entering from the southern gate of this square-shaped city. Modu core city was really huge, and Long Haochen was still in the outer region, thus reaching the Moon Castle took him a whole hour. Although he knew about the core city in advance, Long Haochen couldn't help but feel astonished upon standing in front of the Moon Castle. This was simply like another mini-city. The deep purple-colored walls were over 30 meters long and the wide palace had the shape of an inestimably large square. The walls of the palace were purple-colored, and from there, Long Haochen distinctly recognized an increase of the elemental fluctuations in the air. The elemental fluctuations in this place were several folds more intense. The Alliance's great stadium was not even close to that moon castle in size. And aside from the Demon Emperor's palace, there were 3 other places of this scale in the Modu core city. Long Houchen suddenly felt powerless. Seeing the scale of Modu core city, what kind of strength could possibly break through it? Had humanity really any hope of defeating demonkind one day? This thought only flashed through his mind, but staunching his resolve, he rapidly came back to his senses. Once he arrived in front of the Moon Castle, Long Houchen took out his Viscount emblem of the Moon Clan, walking resolutely and going in. Viscount of the Moon Clan was not a title that only applied to the Moon Clan, but to all demons' clans. Being a nobleman from the Moon Clan was an honorable status. Only the Moon Clan's leader, Agars, was qualified to give someone this status as a direct order. Seeing this young Viscount, the guardsmen hurriedly bowed and made their salutations, not questioning Long Houchen's status in the slightest. Aside from this emblem, Long Houchen's admirable face was his best proof of identity. In the Moon Clan, the greater was one's status, the stronger was the branch he belonged to, and the more handsome he would be. And Long Houchen's appearance was something even the moon demon god Agars wouldn't necessarily match. As soon as the guards saw his purple eyes and his appearance, they immediately drew back, without the slightest hesitation, not even daring to look at his emblem. The Moon Castle was huge, and Long Houchen had to use the map given by Yue to find his path. At the same time, he had to make his own aura vanish completely. He clearly understood the danger of this place, with the moon demon god being the second most powerful demon god out of the 72, no less than a dozen powerhouses of the 9th step would be present in this Moon Castle. If he was exposed in this sort of place, his only choice would be to immediately leave through his blood connection with Yue. He couldn't stay for a single second. At the time Long Houchen tried to enter in the inner part, he was once again inspected. Still, his Viscount emblem showed good utility, as the insignia carved in it permitted him to enter with no difficulty. Stepping into the inner palace, Long Houchen suddenly felt that it became hard to breathe. The elemental fluctuations in this place were extremely dense, to the extent that it reached a viscous degree. Every breath he took, he felt that his body was being filled with elemental particles, fiercely confronting the light elemental energy in his body. This feeling was truly hard to bear. Long Houchen came to understand that if he stayed here for too long, his cultivation would probably take a huge blow and weaken from that. Apparently, the Moon Demon God's Demon God Pillar should be located inside of this Moon Castle. I wonder where it is. This majestic purple palace extended endlessly. Noble, simple yet elegant, and carrying a prestigious feeling. This inner palace vastly exceeded the office house of the Temple Alliance in all regards. After entering, Long Houchen didn't dare to keep staring, rapidly made a detour to the side while avoiding the middle of the pathway, and heading to a rather secluded part, into a palace of modest size. Dense vegetation was surrounding it, and the palace clearly looked more simple than the others. Stand. Don't you know that these are the princess's quarters? And you still dare make your way inside? 2 tall female Moon clansmen blocked Long Houchen's way. With but a mere glance, Long Houchen couldn't help but let out a gasp, because these 2 Moon clans women that looked below 20 were both at the 6th step of cultivation. What kind of talent is that? Long Houchen couldn't help but secretly smile bitterly. Although he knew that this was dependent on one's innate capability, and that some of these demon clans couldn't be compared to humans in this aspect, he still couldn't refrain himself from feeling a bit jealous. Please show the princess this insignia. Long Houchen passed his own Viscount insignia to them, before taking a few steps back, unyieldingly standing straight. Seeing the emblem, the look on the 2 ladies' faces immediately softened. Please wait a moment, Mr. Viscount. After the conversation, one of the 2 figures flashed, and Long Houchen just saw a purple trail of moonlight in his line of sight, before that lady's figure disappeared. A short time later, the moonlight glowed once again, and that lady appeared in the former place once again. Mr. Viscount, the princess invited you in. Long Houchen nodded calmly, entering in large strides. The 2 Moon Clan's women looked at each other face to face, and one said in a low voice, "Whoa, how handsome. It's the first time that I see such a handsome Viscount. Could he be milady's husband-to-be?" The other girl replied with envy, "That is highly possible. Only such a powerful and handsome clansman can be a match for our princess." You 2 saw his appearance, which was close to perfect. I estimate that he should at least be a powerhouse of the 8th step, that should shortly break through to the 9th step. And he is shortly under 50. The Moon clansman's average age was 50, but to them, 50 years old was an extremely young age. The only backdraw was that the men from the Moon clan were the same as the devil dragons on one aspect: their fertility was low. Tightening the internal spiritual energy in his body, Long Houchen made certain that his connection with Hao Yue was still strong, before heading into the princess's chamber. Yu Yi's palace was a 2-floored building. Compared to the lofty and luxurious palaces located in the Moon Demon Palace, her palace wasn't very eye-catching. But the fact that she possessed a palace of her own in the inner part of the Moon Castle was ample proof of her position within the Moon clan. Yu Yi calmly stood in the living room, wearing a purple long skirt. Her long hair was set free, and she didn't have any cosmetics put on her naturally beautiful face. Without any jewelry on her, she gave a gentle look to Long Houchen, who slowly walked towards her. "Your Highness." Long Houchen looked at her, secretly shocked that outside of their previous predicament, her appearance was really refined. Yu Yi waved her hand and ordered, "You can go." "Yes." The 4 maids serving nearby rapidly retired from their post by the wide hall, leaving only Long Houchen and Yu Yi. "I didn't expect you to come so quickly," Yu Yi said with a smile while hinting at him to come closer. Walking to her seat, she sat down before hinting Long Houchen to do the same. "I'm sorry to disturb you, Your Highness." Long Houchen calmly smiled. At this time, he appeared rather calm, and didn't give off a single trace of anxiety. Yu Yi looked straight at his face, asking in a soft voice, "Then, has Captain Long's mission been completed?" Long Houchen's eyes suddenly flashed with cold light, immediately revealing a serious look. To him, this place was the den of the tiger and not to be trusted. Yu Yi naturally understood his thought, and said with a smile, "Captain Long doesn't need to worry, only confidants of mine are by my side. None of them would go on gossiping." Long Houchen deliberately calmed his expression. Calm again, he gave her reply, "Yes, I don't doubt your word. Considering President Yu Yi's ability, I believe that she wouldn't let the people at her side show disobedience for a second time." A sullen look of danger appeared on Yu Yi's face. "Are you mocking me?" "I don't dare, I am just speaking honestly. We could not accomplish this mission, but it won't be necessary for us to proceed with it. I am planning on returning to the Alliance, could you help me?" Long Houchen didn't plan to nag at her, and got right to the point. Yu Yi wrinkled her brows, and replied, "This isn't a problem. The last time I made a report to my father, he was infuriated, to the misfortune of the guys at the side of the Nerix province. After His Majesty's order to conduct a thorough investigation, their 3 demon gods were immediately put on trial by our demon god emperor, deprived of command over their subordinates. But the thing is, I can temporarily not leave the Moon Demon Castle, as I still have some matters to handle here. If you want to head back, I can arrange a merchant group acting in the name of our Yu Yi merchant group for you. After the retribution suffered by those who attacked us the last time, I estimate that no one would dare act against our merchant group again. Moreover, you will be able to leave unharmed for the Temple Alliance." Long Houchen nodded in response, "Thanks a lot. When can we set off?" Yu Yi gave an unhappy reply, "I am not a god. I need some time to prepare all of this. It will take at least 3 days, and at most 10 days. I have to make a good amount of preparation for this." "All right." Long Houchen then asked, "How will your highness inform me?" Yu Yi said, "The best would be to have you stay here for now, as you wait for me to finish all preparations before you leave. I have a lot of free rooms where you can stay, and this isn't a place where anyone would dare to rashly enter." "You want me to stay here?" Long Houchen was immediately cautious. Yu Yi was unable to stifle her laughter. How can such a wise and far-sighted person as Captain Long ask such a silly question? "Don't tell me you are afraid that I may have some bad intentions towards you. If this was my intention, I could simply have refused to meet you. But still, your friend's methods are really too savage. Since committing a bad act of any kind against you would prevent the restriction in my body from being relieved, this would just be the same as asking for death. Is this the attitude you should have as a collaborator?" Long Houchen's expression came back to normal, giving an indifferent reply, "Collaborator. You are a demon princess, and our relationship is at most one where we make use of each other, nothing more. Speaking of collaboration is out of question. If I haven't guessed wrong, the resources you brought back last time were transported to Modu core city. Can you really say that you are staying neutral? Yue nodded without any hesitation. Of course I can. This is the most important motto we, freelance merchants, have. You just saw the things I transported back, but didn't get to see what I usually bring to the human side. This time, when you follow my caravan back to the Temple Alliance, I will let you see it. Long Houchen replied, that would be great. Yue gave him an ardent look, suddenly standing up and heading in his direction. Then, if I may ask, when will you have your friend remove the restriction she placed on my body? I am sincerely collaborating with you here. But having this thing in my body makes me feel uneasy and nervous, and is really a great pain. As she said so, she softened her body, about to sit on his lap. Long Houchen had been on high alert since he entered the city, so his reaction was naturally fast. His body flashed, leaving its seat, and Yuyi's flexible body only barely came into contact with his thigh, before falling on the seat where Long Houchen previously sat. Am I so scary? Yue asked with hidden bitterness. Long Houchen's face appeared colder. Your Highness, please conduct yourself with dignity. I believe that considering your position, finding a place in Modu core city for me to stay will not be hard for you. After having prepared the caravan, you may just send someone to notify me. Yue wrinkled her brows and declared, you are really a rigid person, aren't you? Which side of mine cannot compare with that girl? Long Houchen indifferently replied, delicious delicacies won't arouse the appetite of an already full stomach. A change suddenly appeared in Yuyi's eyes. Is that really so? But from what I know, all of you men, be it humans or demons, are in general greedy and never satisfied in this regard. My father has hundreds of concubines, with no lack of humans among them, in addition to plenty of beautiful women from demon clans. And I heard that His Majesty the Demon God Emperor has over 1,000 of them. Don't tell me you think they have still not eaten until they were full. After a little pause, Yue gave him a provocative look. Or is it that you are no good in this regard? Unfortunately, she picked the wrong target for this provocation, and Long Houchen immediately looked distracted. No good in this regard? Which regard are you speaking of? Seeing his pure look, Yue immediately felt embarrassed, and couldn't help but ask, how old are you this year? Although Long Houchen had an increasingly tall build and an progressively steady temperament, he was after all still young, and his face was still carrying traces of childishness. I'm not telling you. A very hard rejection was given to her. Yue replied with a humph, let it be then. Look at this thing, do you know what it is? As she said so, a radiance flashed from her hand, and a 1/3 of a meter-long metal stick appeared, which she passed to Long Houchen. Unconsciously Long Houchen stretched his hand and took it. The moment he touched the stick, the spiritual energy in his body appeared to be stirred up, and that little stick lightened up slightly before giving off a purple glint, condensing 2 digits in the air. Seeing those 2 digits, Long Houchen and Yue were both startled. 15. You fooled me. Long Houchen shouted furiously. Clearly, this little metallic stick was used to measure people's age. He had been duped. Yue sluggishly looked at him. You are only 15. Heavens! This can't be for real. Long Houchen snorted coldly. It will be in 1 month though, he grumbled. You fooled me, I'm confiscating this thing. As he said so, his chest released a golden glint, and the metallic stick was sucked in the pendant of eternity in a grandiose way. Hey! This thing was very expensive, and is quite rare at that. Yue extended her hand, demanding it back. Long Houchen ignored her and turned back to the exit. I believe that considering your status, finding the place where I will stay won't be hard. I will look for an inn by myself. Send me news as soon as you can, or don't blame me for becoming blunt. Since I dared come, I'm not afraid of any tricks you may have up your sleeves. He didn't want to keep being entangled with that girl. Okay. I will prepare a place for you to stay. What if you get trapped when looking for a place? Yue said with hidden bitterness. After such a realization, she was currently incredibly shocked. Reaching the 5th step at 15 years old, Yue had never heard of such a feat till this day. Furthermore, Long Houchen was already the captain of his own demon hunt squad. Given Yuyi's intelligence, she could tell that given Long Houchen's age and ability, his innate talent ought to reach the most supreme peak attainable by humans. If enough time was given to allow him to grow, he was bound to become a great threat to the demon's side. However, there was one bit where she didn't deceive Long Houchen, regarding her personal inclination. Regardless of whichever side, demon or human, she didn't have any preference. To her, profit and strength were the most important things. Thus, although she discovered Long Houchen's terrifying potential, it didn't cause her a troubled mind. She only secretly determined that this was all the more of a reason for her to make good friends with this little guy. At this very moment, a maid suddenly came in haste. "Your Highness, the demon god emperor has come. He wants everyone in the inner quarters to go out to meet him." "What?" Yue was shocked, and her expression changed greatly. Long Houchen was even more stressed, and unconsciously clenched both his fists. "Please go down first. I have to change clothes." After being briefly shaken, Yue waved her hand, ordering the maid to retire. "What should we do?" Long Houchen calmly asked Yue. After this shock, he didn't become nervous at all, because he felt that his connection with Hao Yue was in no way affected, making him able to leave at any time. Instead, he wanted to see what reaction this Princess Yue would show in this kind of situation. From this fact, the sincerity of the collaboration between them would be seen. Yue rapidly replied, "The demon god emperor always comes to see my father when it is related to some important matters. He attaches great importance to his own security, and thus, will command everyone to greet him every time he comes in the inner part of the castle, using a secret technique enabling black dragons to scout through every living aura in a given area. If someone hid himself, it would very possibly be an assassin. Before His Majesty the demon god emperor departs, everyone will be restricted to a certain area." Long Houchen indifferently asked, "That's to say, I have to appear in front of the demon god emperor?" Yue forced a bitter smile. "I'm afraid that is unavoidable. I didn't expect that His Majesty would come at such a time. Now, it won't be possible for you to go out since the Moon Castle's surroundings have already been sealed up. And here, we only have maids, and no males. Since you'll have to come out with me, it will definitely arouse suspicions. What should we do? What should we do?" Even given her intelligence, she clearly appeared to be in a frenetic state. And it was not surprising. If she let the demon god emperor know that she had some relationship with a human demon hunt squad, even her own father the moon demon god wouldn't be able to defend her. The demon god emperor loathed the demon hunt squads of the Temple Alliance the most. Suddenly, as she raised her head to take a look at Long Houchen, Yuyi's eyes suddenly shone. "I have a solution. However, I will have to cause Captain Long to feel kind of wronged." Long Houchen appeared puzzled and asked, "What is it that came to your mind?" Yue rushed to his side, saying a few sentences in a low voice, but Long Houchen's expression immediately became unsightly, resolutely refusing. "No, this is definitely out of the question." Yuyi's eyes immediately appeared to be red, and on the verge of begging, she declared, "If we don't do this, in case this gets discovered, I'm screwed. Although I am a few years older than you, I'm still under 20. Would you really have the heart to see me being buried by your side? I haven't even ever gotten a boyfriend yet. For God's sake, please do it, okay? It will just give you a bit of grievance. You will be free of it after the demon god emperor leaves." Long Houchen's eyebrows were completely wrinkled, but he still looked at her with force. The gate of the Moon Castle Palace opened. The moon demon god Agars led a group of noblemen from the Moon clan, while everyone in the Moon Castle Palace, including the maids, was gathered, whereas the servants rapidly concentrated in the plaza in the center. The moon demon god Agars was about 2 meters tall, clad in a purple gown, his hair tied using a headband and draping over his shoulder to his back. His facial appearance made him appear just like a man coming out of a picture. In his pair of purple eyes, a dark golden radiance was embedded, and on his forehead, the faint trace of a bent moon was visible. In terms of appearance, Agars was the most beautiful man existing, even superior to the demon god Emperor Fengxiu in this aspect. Though, their mannerisms could be compared. Standing right there, he very naturally became the center of the whole plaza. Everyone else's radiance was concealed by him. Among demons, the demon god Emperor was the so-called Emperor, and under him, only 2 lords could claim the title of king. One was the moon demon god Agars, and the other was the demon prophet, who greatly exceeded anyone else in the entire demon race in regards to prediction, the star demon god Washake. Agars was accompanied by a calm-looking girl standing at his side. With her slender figure that could be called perfect, She didn't wear any makeup, giving off a feeling of fresh, pure and almost transcendent beauty. The most astonishing was that she had a pair of black eyes similar to humans. Without a doubt, she was the most beautiful girl out there, and the only one that could be said to match the moon demon god Agar's. At Agar's back stood a dozen people. The nearest were 4 middle-aged men, all of them were handsome men like one exists among 10,000, who were the 4 so-called Great Moon Emperor, the most trusted aides of the moon demon god Agar's, serving him as his left and right arms. Behind them were a dozen middle-aged men of the Moon clan, who gave off a dense and powerful aura from their bodies. Behind them was a group of girls that had stunning appearances. One of these girls was the Princess Yue. She led a group of maids, among whom the nearest to her was lowering her head. Her long black hair was spilling to the front and covered all over her shoulders, causing her facial appearance to be indiscernible from afar. Yue's expression was currently quite grotesque, resisting to look at her side with great difficulty, and softly using her hands to toy with her own clothing. Visibly, she hardly managed to keep herself calm. That's right, she couldn't calm down. At that moment, her feeling of self-confidence was being shattered incommensurably. As the Moon clan's princess, the chamberlains at Yue's side were all female. If a male would have stood by her side, it would undoubtedly look odd. Thus, with a divine flash, the solution she thought about was to have Long Houchen cross-dress using makeup, costume, and have him act as her maid. Long Houchen was still a youth, and his body was far from having fully grown yet. Further adding the absolute perfection of his physique, it wasn't too complicated to dress him up like a girl. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.